1, 2. It is morning as I'm recording this video, and as of this morning, I just hit 300 subscribers. So a big arigato, gracias, taksamukit, kitos palion. There is more good shit on the way. I've already talked quite a lot about how I had no idea that The Static Speaks My Name would get the kind of reception it did. As I went into making my second game, Bucket Detective, I now had The Static Speaks My Name as a framework for what success was or wasn't. I definitely wasn't expecting Bucket Detective to make as much of an impact as Static Speaks My Name. And in terms of sheer numbers, it certainly did not. Financially, I wish the game had done better. You know, that's just the honest truth of it. I wasn't expecting Static Speaks My Name numbers, but I was hoping that the game would allow me to support myself financially for a little while with the profits, which really wasn't the case. It provides an amount of money that helps me, but is by no means something I could live off of. There's this Chinese parable that I'm going to butcher, but it's basically something like there's a young man in ancient China working the fields when a horse sort of stumbles up into his property, and the boy tames the horse, takes it home, shows it to his father, and says, "Hey, isn't this great? We got a horse." And the father says, "We'll see." The boy goes out, rides the horse, falls off, breaks his leg, and he's unable to work in the field. He goes to his father and says, "Dad, isn't this terrible?" And the father says, "We'll see." One day, there's a war with the neighboring territory, and the government comes around conscripting all able-bodied men. And, of course, the boy has broken legs, so he can't go off into the war. Everyone who goes off into the war dies, etc., etc., etc. So had Bucket Detective made me fully financially stable, I wouldn't have moved to Stockholm to work at Starbreeze, where I got to work on my first AAA game ever. I also think there's the potential that I would have felt pressure to keep making games and keep making things sort of like Static Speaks My Name and Bucket Detective. I do really fear the idea of golden handcuffs and that you can become, as an artist, one of those people who just find something that works and repeats yourself over and over and over, mass produces. I mean, there's tons of artists like this, and they're very financially successful. That's not really who I ever want to become. Bucket Detective not making a ton of money was sort of a get out of jail free card. Obviously, I don't mean making games is like I'm in jail or something, but it just gave me the freedom to have my next project be whatever the fuck I wanted it to be. I swear this is not just a coping mechanism. It also taught me something really interesting about the role of the artist. You know, it's like it showed me how much that we, as the person creating the thing, how little we can control how people receive it. I had no idea that people were going to connect with Static Speaks My Name, and I thought Bucket Detective was going to have a little bit more of a widespread appeal. And I was wrong about both of those. And so it's important to just strip away the expectation and make the thing for the sake of making the thing. There were long periods of time where I didn't have very much fun making Bucket Detective. It took too long. I made it take too long. I was too precious about certain details which really didn't matter. And I'm not talking about, I have a love of details, but I'm talking small things like redoing the art style, 3 or 4 times. The point here is that when the game didn't make a ton of money, I realized I was sort of suffering with a false expectation. And it really was it was one of the prime inspirations for me to start thinking, is there something besides games that I want to do? Something that I didn't love about making games is that it required me to sit in front of the computer all the time. If you're not at a computer, you're really not working on a game. And what I love about film is that there is, of course, a lot of time at a desk when you're writing, at a computer when you're editing, but it's much more social. You're out meeting actors, meeting crew. It's just a much more dynamic. It fits my personality a lot better than sitting at a computer all day. If you're doing a thing because of the results that are going to come down the line, you're going to make yourself unhappy. And also, it's not really that sustainable. But look, in wrapping up, let me not pretend like Bucket Detective was actually some kind of failure. Artistically, I feel very happy with the game. It tackles themes and ideas that I think are interesting. I'm really happy with the cutscenes. I'm really happy with the voice acting that a friend of mine did. I'm really happy with the puzzle design, the general world that was created. To me, it's never actually been about the numbers. What I care about is the individual people. You know, I get emails from people, I get messages on Twitter or wherever from people who love David Davids. You know, people have done fan art for the game. It's like, that is actually, that's the success. I think there's people who have very popular shows on TV or popular games or whatever that like actually no one really likes. It's just like something that's like mildly amusing that people put on to not have to listen to the cacophony of their thoughts. And that is more depressing to me than not making money. It's like having everyone see your stuff and no one gives a shit. Like, Jesus Christ, just erase yourself from the planet already. That's harsh. So thank you to those of you who've reached out. Thank you to those of you who've bought the game. Thank you to the reviews people have written. People write, I mean, I get some awesome reviews of the game. And like I've said this before with Static Speaks My Name, but like what's crazy is I feel like a lot of times people, like artists, complain about their audience not understanding their work. Like, oh, I had this intention and the journalist misunderstood it or my audience misunderstood it. I feel like people actually really get what I'm trying to do. There was a YouTuber or an article, I can't remember at this point, but who made something talking about how Bucket Detective was sexist and misogynistic and, I don't know, just very much misinterpreting the themes of the game. And the comments were like 90% people like, I think you don't understand what this game's about. I think you're missing the satire. I think you're missing this. And basically explaining to this very sort of arrogant reviewer that they were not understanding the game, and that's just amazing. So thanks. All right, that's the end. If you like this video and you haven't played Bucket Detective, obviously you need to head over to the Steam store. I think the 3-year anniversary of its release is in like 2 weeks. If I was well coordinated, I would have made this video and released it on that day, but I'm not. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all motherfuckers next Monday.